Hi, folks. We're gonna make some noise if you don't mind, do you? Today is a reflection, having passed the 1 year mark of loving guitar. Because I started actually loving guitar just before the New Year's, just like around today, last year. And so I figured, I was going to embark on this as some sort of way to, reconnect with a lot of the things that I used to connect with, and then I kind of veered away from, and then, you know, I got, music got me to a lot of places. Actually, literally got me to a lot of places because I played a lot of places, and that's what music did for me. I made me into a traveler. I got to pretty much tour every state here and on the continent, on this continent. I never got to Alaska, and I never played a gig in Puerto Rico. So I got to learn a lot. Played Europe. It was beautiful. I have a lot of good stories. Toured with some talented folks, energetic, spirited people. Legends in their time, I should say. And now, some of my friends have passed away. I'm 62 years old. I was born in 1962, and now it's 2024. And I'm 62 years old. I grew up during a really cool era in New York, Manhattan. I was living in Manhattan. My drummer and I, we both lived in Manhattan. And figuring out how to stumble our way through life with as much music as possible. That was the whole reason why we moved into the city. And so we had a great life. I was poor as fuck, worked like a dog, but at least we got to play our music. Whether it was in a recording studio, rehearsal studio, on stage, in someone's living room, all that mattered was getting on your axe and playing. That's all that mattered. Fuck girlfriends, boyfriends, everything else, all your significant others are all second. Because the first thing you're in love with is going to be your instrument. And it's also the cause of many disruptions in many relationships for many musicians, is the fact that this thing may get in the way, depending on how the other is going to see this. Your significant other is going to see this relationship and what's so demanding of it. And yes, it is a tool. So this can also be a tool for someone else who wants to play. But how do you explain that to your significant other? Certain feelings you have for a certain guitar that might be special in your life, or maybe that connection that you feel you're willing to expand on, just for the mere fact because this chunk of wood, plastic, steel, magnets, and electronics and stuff is resting against you, and just the mere fact that it's touching you, it's in your way. So you got to do something. You got to move move it out of the way or move with it. You know, this channel, I think from the get-go, when I first thought about it, conceptualized about it, was about how am I going to translate how I feel about a guitar. Because there's other guitar players you can follow about, you know, the technique and stuff like that. There's people bluesier than me, jazzier than me, fusionier more, and can shred more, play country licks better than me, even play punk rock better than me. There's a lot of people who can do better than me. I'm not here to prove anything. Except one thing. I think the whole essence of this whole reason why I wanted to start this channel, Loving's guitar. Yeah, okay, so let's just say that's a character. I'm Senor Lovings. But I think I want to address the elephant in the room here. And the elephant is these things that guitarists have are to everyone else it's an instrument. And I guess if you're a guitar player, a person who plays guitar, because there's a difference. Because there's a lot of people who can play guitar. That's a guitar, and including guitar players. But then there's seldom, and very few people who actually commit themselves to becoming a guitarist. So what are you? A guitarist, you answer. Not a guitar player or a guy who plays guitar or a girl who plays guitar. I could play drums, I could play bass, but I'm no bassist or drummer. Sure, I've done a lot of recordings as bassist, but I would never consider myself a bassist because there are bassists out there who have dedicated themselves to the bass, to the instrument, to producing that sound, that pocket, that reason to exist within an ensemble, part of the structure of the whole song, how a bass player thinks is different from the way a guitar player thinks, because the bass is not an enlarged guitar with thicker strings. No, it's a different species altogether of playing. It's a different instrument. And then within one type of instrument, there's many instruments just like that in that category. But each one of those have different characters themselves and how they affect the musician. Now, I guess in the beginning, you don't really have to figure that out so much. You need to figure out more like where your fingers need to go, the chords, progressions, learn your theory, reasons why things move, why you can move in certain directions, what are the sour notes, what are the sweet notes, what makes a dominant progression, want to resolve to a tonic, where and how to change keys, where and how to change tempo and dynamics. These are all things that are studied. And you need to, I would suggest you practice them. Find a way that you can connect with the practice of seeking that and make it a ritual. And before you know it, you're in the sauce. You're being cooked. And in the end of that long brewing of sauce, you come out with enough due diligence on your behalf. You come out a guitar player. A guitarist, I should say. Everything else is a guitar player. Because, sure, I could pick up the harmonica and start figuring out some notes, but that doesn't make me a harmonica player. I spent my life on this because this means a lot to me. The guitar has always meant so much to me. I remember even as a child, Whenever whenever I would go visit a home with my mom, and it just so happens if they happen to have a guitar lying around on the couch or whatever, I would be on it. I remember two places we went. One was in Peru. One was here in the States. In Peru was my uncle. His son, I guess my cousin, had a guitar. It was an acoustic guitar. And I remember I was probably like, maybe 10 or 11 years old. And, I just picked it up. And the first thing I did was like one of those things. And I remember that from the get-go, from the very first time I picked that up and I was doing... I wanted it to make it sound pretty. The very first time I picked up the guitar. It's like I didn't want to make noise. I'm sure I didn't even know how to tune the guitar. I didn't even know what the strings were. But I remember, but I wasn't just making a racket. It's like I remember just doing things like this. And trying to do something with it. I don't know. I remember I was searching. And I didn't even know what to search for. But I wanted to connect to it. I wanted it as if I was asking the instrument to teach me. What do I do? What do I do? Where does my fingers go? But I want to do it respectfully. I don't want to hit you hard. I don't even know where to put my fingers. I don't know what a chord is. And I remember just doing this. Because, sure, I could do that, figure that out. I didn't know how to do any of that. All I could just do is that. Little would I know that maybe a half a century, 50 years later, here I am. Well, 50 plus years. I've come a long way. I come from having been a child and having a strong hold on this feeling. And I think ever since that first time I touched a guitar, I knew that I wanted more. I wanted the guitar to teach me, tell me all about itself. I always was tinkering because of it. I've always been a tinkerer. Little did I know that tinkering logic and way of finding myself through the dark. I learned to make my own flashlights, basically. And the work I would do throughout my life kind of mirrors this whole way of searching blindly and not being afraid to make mistakes. If you're so inspired, even the mistakes are beautiful because they lead you closer and closer to somehow getting it. That's because I want to get it. I always wanted to get it. I was always reaching to get it. And I wouldn't stop until I got it. Anyway, thank you for watching, folks. If you like these kind of shenanigans, because sometimes I get off the rails, and that happens often, it would be really cool if you would somehow support this channel with a like, a comment, or really cool if you subscribed. Would be much appreciated. Kind of helps with this whole retirement plan I'm working on. Ciao. In the meantime, folks, remember, you heard it from me. Drink more water, clean water. That's it. That's all I'm saying. All right? Be nice to yourselves. Be kind to one another. All right. Love you. See you the next time I get all choked up.